Hello everyone, this is Attila, and today I'm gonna share with you my findings on Litecoin and the S&P 500 index for the last 1 year trend. And as you can see, I have two graphs here, and my x-axis shows the closing value for Litecoin and the S&P 500 index, and on the y-axis I created a KPI to calculate change from open to close as percentage. So let's go over a red dot here. So when you go over the red dot, it shows us the date, when was the date, and you can also see the closing price and also the change as percentage. For example, in this case, there is 9% decrease, minus 9%, yeah. And also you can see the highest value and the lowest value on that day. I have the same information here. You can come over and see all the S&P 500 index information, the date, the closing value, the change, highest and the lowest values. So as you can see, Litecoin is more risky because there are many red dots between like 5% and 10%, even I can see a 20% increase. However, there are many red dots between 0 and the minus 10%, and even you can see 55% decrease on May 19, 2021, compared to S&P 500. For S&P 500, almost 99% of the red dots are between 2% and the minus 2%. So if you would like to make an investment, like more secure investment, I would definitely recommend you to choose S&P 500 index, because probably you're gonna lose the worst day is less than 2%. Even the worst day was like 2.29%. But on the other hand, if you really like to take risk, like kind of high risk, high reward investor, I would recommend you make the investment on Litecoin. But you should be very careful on this, because, for example, on May 24th, if you made the investment on May 24th, you would have made 22% profit. However, on May 19, 2021, if you made your investment on that day, you would have lost 55% loss. So you should be very careful on this. Thank you so much.
Hello, my name is Abhishek, and for this assignment, our group has included the dataset on Litecoin and S&P 500 stocks. In this dataset, we have various columns such as the low and high value for LTC as well as SP 500 stocks. Then we have open and close prices. Then also we have volume for the LTC stocks, and so on. And I have created two side-by-side bar charts showing the comparison between the low and the high values for LTC stocks as well as the S&P 500 stocks. First, I will show you the comparison between the average low and high values for the LTC stocks. And I have taken the average of the values for both LTC and stocks and S&P 500 stocks. The light green color represents the low value for the LTC stocks, and the dark green color represents the high value for the LTC stocks. As we can see that in 2013, the average value price for the average low value price for the LTC stock was $5.94, whereas average high value for the LTC stock was $7.21. And in 2015, we can see that the average low price and the average high price was the lowest among all the years for this particular year, and the value was $2.60 for the average low value, and the average high value for the stock was $2.78. And the overall average value for between 2013 and 2018 is, we can see, $30.10, In 2018, we can see that the value for the average price for the LTC stock and as well as the high average price for LTC stock was quite high, and it was the highest among all the years. And the low value was the $103.59, whereas the high average value was $112.66. Now we will look at the comparison for the SP 500 stocks. In this bar chart, the light blue color represents the low average price for the SP stocks, and the dark blue color represents the high value for the SP 500 stocks. In 2013, we can see that the average low price was $1,690, whereas the average high value was $1,074. And the average value for these stocks is $2,570, which is very near to the values in the 2017 year. As we can see that the low value was $2,442 and the high average value was $2,454. Whereas in 2021, the average low value and the average high price for the stock was the highest among all the years, and the low average value is $4,012, whereas the average high value is $4,052. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Rohan, and this is my chart that I have developed for the assignment for the data visualization, and this is our final and last assignment. So my part was to do the comparison between the differences between Litecoin and the supported Pool 500. So as you can see in the charts and the data that we have selected, the closing price for SP 500 is increasing from 2013, and you can see a sudden dip in the year 2020. That's because of the COVID, and because with this graph I have analyzed the comparison between the differences, and therefore you can see the trend line for the SP 500 is going slightly upwards as compared to the Litecoin. It's constant to 0, and you can see the major difference in the Litecoin was approximately $52, whereas for the SP 500 the difference was major and it was approximately $290. And but afterwards in 2021 it got stable, and whereas for the Litecoin the stability was major and the difference got decreased in the year of 2021. So after this I will show you the story that we have created using the dashboard. Yes, so as you can see, this was first graph indicates the volume in the change of the open and the closing price for the SP 500, and this one is the graph that I have explained. Below that is the graph that I have explained the difference between LTC and the SP 500, and this is the closing price difference between the LTC and SP 500, and the one above that is the comparison by volume using LTC dates. So this is our story that we have created, and thank you so much. That would be all from my end.
All right, hi everyone. So my name is Nicholas Gonzalez, and I'm going to be just pretty much closing out our presentation here. So one of the most important things when you want to invest is compare the closing prices, right? So is there a trend? How historically is the fund performing? So we look at that at closing prices. Opening prices is important too, but In this case, we're going to be looking at the closing price. So at the end of the day, how much is that investment worth? And here we're comparing LTC and SPX, S&P 500, to see how the closing price looked from 2013 to 2021. So we can see here Litecoin, it starts off very low, right? It has a bit of a peak in 2014. Most of these peaks where the price increases by a lot in cryptocurrency in general is just when it catches investors' attention and they start to believe in it and they put money into it. So this was the first kind of spike in 2014, but it's relatively pretty low throughout 2016, 2017, and then finally in 2019 it starts to pick up just a little bit until it finally just peaks very high in 2020. So that's when we saw a big increase in cryptocurrency in general, with Bitcoin, for example, and other popular cryptocurrencies such as Ethereum. But then it starts to dip down, and it seems that it will continue to dip. It could be because of the pandemic. It could be because it was just a bubble that burst in cryptocurrency. Whatever it is, though, it grew a lot and then it just dropped just as fast. While we look at the S&P 500, we can see that it has a steady flow going upwards, right? Upwards trend. It dips down in 2020, but again, that was probably because of the pandemic, and it quickly recovered. And the thing is that S&P 500 is in a basket of companies, of 500 companies that have resources, that have the money, they have the base and foundations to continue growing. As opposed to Litecoin and cryptocurrency in general, it's not really like that. It's more of a bet in a way, unless it's solving some kind of problem. So very fast transactions, or you can use it overseas in other countries, transactions overseas, things like that. So if the cryptocurrency isn't really solving your problem, it doesn't have a base to be valuable. Whereas S&P 500, you got the top 500 companies. You have Apple, Microsoft, Tesla, those kind of companies, that will probably continue to grow. So we can see that with the closing prices, right? With S&P 500, because you have so many different companies in it, if, let's say 100 companies do bad in one sector for that time, it's very hard for the other 400 to also be doing hard at that same time. So you have a way to balance it out. While Litecoin is just Litecoin. It's just one cryptocurrency. If that cryptocurrency, the company that made it, or the individual or team, if something happens to them, Litecoin itself is just gonna dip. It's just gonna fall, and it's gonna go down. While S&P 500, you have a way to balance that out. You're already diversified by investing in one thing, which is the index fund of the S&P 500. Whereas in Litecoin, you're not diversified at all. And we can see that. We can see that where it just goes up very high, but then it just dips down. While S&P 500 is more of a upward trend, and that's because it's able to do that because it's, again, diversified. It's not as volatile. And we talk about volatility a little bit in story here. So in the story, when we go, not here. So here's the investment risk of LTC and S&P 500. So what we're trying to do is just present our, not opinions, but with data, how they each perform over time and what's might be the smartest choice for investors. So here we're comparing the historical prices as well as the average lows and highs to get a clear picture of the performance over time with these investment options. And we can see, again, as I showed, that it has a very steady upward trend for the S&P 500, while the Litecoin is just very volatile. And volatility is not that good if you're trying to be safe. If you're trying to day trade, yeah, it might be good volatility because you can get those highs and lows. But we're speaking here in long-term investors, and we don't want a lot of volatility, especially if it's not good. And we can see that as well here when we're comparing the volume using this Litecoin and S&P SPX charts. We can see like very big spikes, right? Cryptocurrency, as soon as the numbers start to go down, people get out of it. As opposed to S&P 500, where we can see, that it's pretty good, steady flow. And again, we saw that in here, as it was before mentioned by Attila. So basically what we're trying to say is that if you're trying to long-term invest and not take a lot of risk, your best bet is the S&P 500, as you're already diversified, and you won't be at risk when the market itself goes down. Thank you for watching.